feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight, all 90 minutes. We are up until 7 o'clock. Aaron Deloney is going to stop by at 6:30 for our Tuesday night Cats chat, talking UVM hoops. Catamounts are 5-2. They'll come back into town tomorrow night to take on Dartmouth, and then the Yale game on Saturday, which I'm going to. I'm pumped about. So Aaron Deloney with us at 6:30. You can get in. Text line always open, 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Danny, I am making an executive decision. Do you think, actually, I'm making an executive decision as I ask you a question. Do you think we can get a new intro made by tomorrow? You and I have a little more time on Wednesdays together in that just we both do the midday, so we're both around each other earlier in the day, and we got a little more time to kind of put our heads together on things. Can we come up with a new intro for tomorrow's show? This one, a little outdated at this point now, right? I think these things have about a 2-month lifespan. We're going on about 2.5, 3 months. The Red Sox thing's a little old. The Mac thing is clearly old. Can you and I come together tomorrow, carve out 15 minutes to pick out a new intro?
Is it a question or is it an executive decision?
I'm making an executive decision that we need a new intro. I'm asking the question, do you have time to be part of the process?
Oh, I'm in.
All right.
Let's an executive question.
I am feeling very self-conscious today, by the way. I got to tell you. I'm looking at myself on video here. And again, the show is streaming on our YouTube channel and on my Twitter account. Danny, I don't know if you're seeing this, but I feel like I've got one very, very patchy spot of facial hair right here. Like I don't know if anybody else gets this, but I feel like I have a very patchy spot of facial hair. And it's like I have this whole beard, and it's like it didn't come in one spot, and then just randomly, it's like we have hair, gap again. And I'm like, what exactly is going on here? This is not a shaving mishap by me. This is clearly something that just grows in weird that I've never noticed before. And now with the show being on camera, I'm feeling very self-conscious about this, Danny.
Have you never noticed this before? I haven't, but is this normal for you?
Are you noticing it now, though?
Well, now that you pointed it out. But no, I'd never seen it before.
I mean, this feels new to me. I think I would have known this before in my life. So, and I like to grow out the beard in winter. I like to kind of have the lumberjack look. I'm not as tough as a lumberjack. I just like to try to play it off. But I don't know that I'm liking this. This looks very weird.
Get yourself some beard oil.
I do need some beard oil. You're right. I had beard oil for a while, actually. It made me smell like a
lumberjack.
Made my face smell like peppermints.
That's kind of nice.
It was nice. So we had a sponsor back in the day that did beard oil, and I used it for like 3 winters because I never remember to use it every day. But I used it when I had the beard, and it came out. It was nice. It came out good, and my face smelled like peppermint every time. So there you go. You can get it 802-585-3026. We got a lot to get to. Again, Aaron Deloney is going to stop by. I want to talk about Danny's travel plans for the weekend on his way to the Patriots game next Sunday. I want to talk more about UVM again after the Aaron Deloney conversation. So let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're also now in Rouse's Point, New York. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Danny, we have talked about this before, right? I have said that the Patriots have maybe the bleakest outlook of any team in the NFL. I said that weeks ago, where I kind of raised the question and then kind of lukewarmly went in and said, like, they're either the weakest, the bleakest outlook, or they're pretty darn close to it. Well, now the national folks are catching on to that sentiment. All right, they're following what we're saying, and they're now raising the question: which team has the bleakest outlook in the NFL? Michelle Smallman of ESPN Radio says it is the Patriots.
Can you say anything positive about what is to come for the New England Patriots other than they're going to get a new quarterback? You don't know who that new quarterback is going to be. It's a coin flip. They're not likely going to have the number 1 overall pick and get what we consider to be as close to a slam dunk as you can get in Caleb Williams. Everything changes. We don't know if that's going to play out, but you'd feel better if they had the number 1 overall pick. You're likely having to move on from a guy who's the greatest coach in the history of the NFL and start over. And we haven't seen Robert Kraft have to hire somebody or implement a new system in a long time. I just don't really know what I can look at with the New England Patriots that leads me to believe that they are going to be in a positive space for years to come moving forward.
So Smallman says the Patriots have the worst outlook in the NFL. Albert Breer, the Monday morning quarterback, added on and says, yes, it is very, very dire.
Who on their roster can you say is going to be here in 3 years? Christian Gonzalez, who's played, 150 snaps for the team? You know what I mean?
That's the only one, Bert.
It's the only one. It's the only one. And the guy's been here the guy's been here for 10 minutes, and we've seen other guys who've been here who've shown promise at the beginning fall apart. Because that's the problem, is a lot of these guys who've shown promise early in their careers have gone the wrong way. I mean, there's a long list of guys like that.
802-585-3026. I ask you this question. I ask you it simply. What reasons for optimism are there about the Patriots? I'm not going to ask you, do they have the bleakest outlook in the NFL? Because does it really matter, right? Whether they're 1, 2, or 3, does it really matter? They are near the bottom, right? I think the Jets' outlook's pretty bad. I think the Giants' outlook is pretty bad. I think the Patriots' outlook is pretty bad, right? Does it really matter who's got it slightly worse than the other? They're all terrible. So I flip the question. I ask you, 802-585-3026, audience participation required. What, if any, reasons for optimism do you have about this franchise? Danny, I'm going to ask you. Number one, do you have any reasons for optimism moving forward?
Not currently.
So there, you think there is nothing that you could spin positively about this team?
New GM, and then you can be optimistic. Until then, I don't know how you build around this disaster.
I would say the only optimism I have is the history of the NFL. Right? That's it. I think you're right, Danny. I think there's not a lot to grip onto right now. I think Breer is right. There's not a lot of foundational roster pieces here, right? I look at the Giants. They've at least got Saquon Barkley. They've at least got Dexter Lawrence, right? There's at least some stuff there. I look at the Jets. At least they've got Sauce Gardner. At least they've got Breece Hall. At least they've got DJ Reed. They've got some stuff there. The Patriots have literally no stuff, with the exception of Gonzalez, which Breer pointed out. So the only optimism that I have moving forward is the history of the NFL. The NFL is designed for teams to go from worst to first. The NFL is designed for teams to go from the outhouse to the penthouse, and it's designed for them to do it quickly. And I always say it, hope is not a strategy. So I don't think this is a strategy, but if you're asking me my reason for optimism, all I can point to and say is say that it's been done before, and it's been done recently, and that's it. Right? I saw the Jags get beat 51-3 in person by the Patriots, 51-3, 51-10, something like that. The next year, the Jags were in the playoffs. Okay, this year, the Jags very well might win the AFC South again and get to the playoffs again. I saw the Bengals go from picking number 1 in the draft and then Joe Burrow getting injured in his rookie year to the Super Bowl and the AFC title game. So I've seen this before. The Bills, who didn't win a playoff game in forever, have been relevant now for the last 4 years because of Josh Allen. When you get the right quarterback, things can turn on a dime. That, if you're asking me for a reason for optimism, that is it. History is my reason for optimism. But it's all predicated on, can you get the right guy now? And that's what we have no idea. That's to Smallman's point. We have no idea if they can get the right guy. Will they have the right pick to get the right guy? Will they have the right evaluation and get the right guy? Will they coach up the right guy correctly? Will they screw that guy up like they've screwed up Mac? We have questions about all of that. But the only hope that I can point to right now for this franchise is that it's been done before. Very, very bleak situations have turned very, very good very, very quickly, right? Get it right, you become the Buffalo Bills. Get it right, you become the Cincinnati Bengals. Get it wrong, and you become what the Cleveland Browns were for 20 years. That's what we're facing right now, Danny, and that is very, very dire to think about. Like, that is actually shocking to think about, how this one decision moving forward can set you on two totally different paths. If you get it right, you have a chance to become the Jags. You have a chance to become what it looks like Houston is becoming. You have a chance to become what Buffalo became with Josh Allen. If you get it wrong and you walk around in the desert blindfolded, you become what Cleveland became. You become what Washington has been. You become what the Jets have been. You become what Miami was for a long time, right? Prior to Tua and McDaniel being there. Like, that's what you're facing. This is a huge offseason for the Patriots. It's a huge upcoming draft for the Patriots because it can totally define and redefine your franchise. But to the point about, Tabrir, do you have anybody on this roster that's here in 3 years? Outside of Gonzalez, I don't know the answer to that, Danny. There are players I like on this team. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I do not think he's getting paid top dollar. I wouldn't be shocked to see him gone. Right? That's the way running backs are. You churn up running backs. Ezekiel Elliott's not here Ezekiel Elliott's not here in the foreseeable future. He might even be in the league in 3 years. Probably won't be in the league in 3 years. Mac's not here in 3 years. Zappi's not here in 3 years. Kendrick Bourne's not here in 3 years. Tyquan Thornton doesn't look like he's going to be here in 3 years. Kayshon Boutte, the same. Devontae Parker's not. Okay, maybe Cole Strange is here in 3 years because you draft him in the first round. He'll be in his 5th year of team control. Maybe he is still here. Defensively, Gonzalez, yes, but your John Jones won't be here in 3 years. Adrian Phillips won't be here in 3 years. Maybe Duggar, if you want to go and pay him top dollar, but that's it. I can think of maybe 3 guys that are here in the next 3 years. There's not a lot to be excited about for this team right now.
And a young kicker.
I don't even know if he's going to be here. Right? You drafted a kicker in the 4th round. I don't know that he'll be here in 3 years. He'll be in the 4th year of his contract. That's true. But we saw them sign a punter in Jake Bailey to a lucrative extension. He was gone. So just because they made the investment in the kicker doesn't mean he's going to be here. But yes, he might be. Tex says Kraft may be ready to open up his checkbook finally. That's revisionist history. Kraft opened up his checkbook before 2021, right? He went and spent huge on Nelson Aguilar and Hunter Henry and Matthew Judon. And he went and spent huge on Jonnu Smith. And you know what? Jonnu Smith made it 2 years. And Hunter Henry has, petered out. Judon's been excellent. Now he's hurt, unfortunately. And Aguilar's gone. They went and spent big on Kendrick Bourne. And Bourne's hurt too. So they have opened up their purse strings. I do believe that they'll open up their purse strings again. Right? They're going to have a lot of cap space. They're going to have a high pick. I think this is going to be a very aggressive offseason from the Patriots, but you got to get the right guys. In 2021, we were all excited about them going out and spending because it was new, right? It was exciting to see them spend and do what other teams do and win free agency. They didn't spend on the right guys, clearly. They got to spend on the right guys now. They need multiple offensive linemen. Right? They need multiple offensive linemen. They need multiple weapons on the outside. They need a quarterback. They got a lot of needs here. And they're going to have money and draft capital to go and get a lot of it. They got to make sure they got to know who is pulling the strings on these calls, Bill Belichick or someone else, and then they got to figure out exactly who they're getting, and they got to do it right. Because you're not going to be able to do you can't whiff on the spending spree 2 years, 2 times through in a row. You just can't. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Lots more Patriots stuff to get to. Remember, Aaron Deloney's going to stop by, talk UVM hoops, coming up here at about 6:30. Phil Perry, Pat's Insider, NBC Sports Boston, had a very interesting conversation with one Patriot who said something that has really raised my eyebrows. Are these comments a big deal, a little deal, or no deal? We'll talk about it next on DEV.
In 6 decades, a lot has been said about Gillespie Fuels and Propane. Here's just a sampling.
What makes Gillespie Fuels different, aside from being a family business? They're going to make things right and do whatever it takes. Karen and her team, they certainly go to great lengths to make sure that their customers are taken care of.
The best service and a great price on propane.
Guys are there at a moment's notice and get the job done quickly and get you back running.
The pricing is solid and the service is unbeatable.
Their prices are very competitive, and the promptness on service is why I stick with them.
I would say the word that represents them is integrity. They do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it.
With offices in Northfield, Randolph, and Waitsfield, delivery and service requests are handled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right here in Vermont by people who know the temperature and where you live. Gillespie Fuels and Propane, 60 years of Vermonters serving Vermonters. 485-3766.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont and upstate New York's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Waterbury invites you to think local, buy local, and be local by experiencing our many recreational opportunities with something for everyone in your group. You can hike, bike, walk, run, paddle, skate, and stroll, and even swim in Waterbury. Between the Perry Hill Bike Trails, Little River State Park, and Waterbury Reservoir, there's year-round fun for all levels. Get outside and start your next active adventure. Our small businesses and colorful mix of restaurants have everything you need to create an unforgettable experience. Even your dog will have a great time.
Want to know how to save on gas? Get your car checked out by Al Karen and the team at Waterbury Service Center. Cars that are well maintained get better gas mileage, so take your vehicle in for a tune-up to ensure that you're getting maximum fuel efficiency on all your summer adventures. Schedule an appointment now to take care of your annual inspection, get an oil change, and make sure your car is ready for all the road trips, vacations, drives to the mountains, and more. Waterbury Service Center is a full-service auto mechanic conveniently located in downtown Waterbury. Call 802-244-7202 to make an appointment.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back to the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Phil Perry, Pat's Insider, NBC Sports Boston, had an interesting conversation with Patriots defensive tackle Devon Godshaw the other day after the loss to the Giants. And Godshaw's made some very revealing comments about kind of the state of the team right now. Danny, let me hear what Phil had to say about this with Godshaw. We'll talk about how big a deal it is.
He said we have to play for pride now, to play for our names on the backs of our jerseys. 31 other teams out there that are looking at tape. You don't want to go out there and lay an egg. And so that's just the reality of the situation. I think if someone were to say something like that in week 5 or 6, and you're still mathematically in it in terms of playoff contention, we would look at those types of comments and say, boy, that sounds a little selfish. That doesn't sound like somebody who's invested in the team and the team's outcomes, right? If you're talking about the name on the back as opposed to the name on the front. But at this point, we only have 2 games to play. If that's what they're doing on the defensive side, I would say it's working pretty well.
Danny, Devon Godshaw says it's time to start playing for the name on the back of the jersey. He does not mention the name on the front of the jersey. The Patriots are 2-9. They are going nowhere. Are these comments a big deal, a little deal, or no deal at all?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I think players don't usually say that stuff publicly, but they probably think it. So,
well, he said it publicly.
Yeah, so not the biggest deal, but I think that's something they would not want out in the public. More distraction.
So you're going with little deal.
Yeah.
I'm going with little deal as well, and let me explain here. It's certainly not nothing, right? What Devon Gottschall just said is honest. I appreciate honesty. To Danny's point, we want athletes to be honest, right? We roll our eyes at the cliche sound bites that we always get every single day. So I welcome a guy who's honest. So that's first and foremost. I welcome his right to say it. I welcome his right to think it, and I appreciate that he said it because it gives us something to talk about. It's not nothing, right? It's honest, but it is selfish. And we do need to watch this stuff now because I think what we need to look for now is our guys freelancing. That's what you want to see, right? That's what I want to look for now. Are Patriots players freelancing? Now, I'm certainly not in the locker room and in the meeting rooms, right? I don't know the exact design of every single play. But if it's pretty clear that the Patriots defense is playing a zone and they're dropping guys in coverage, and then all of a sudden the linebacker pulls out of his zone to go try to chase a ball carrier and force a fumble or to try and go get an ill-advised interception, I think we can clearly see, okay, that guy's doing something outside of the framework of the play. If we see that it's a zone defense and the DB is supposed to stay off the receiver, but instead he bites and goes to try to get the pick on the out route and then gets double moved to death and they go for a 65-yard touchdown, I think we can notice there that somebody is doing something outside the framework. That's what I want to see at this point. I think Devon Gottschall is right. You're going to see guys make business decisions from here on out. And that I don't have a problem with, right? Guys are going to do what's best for them when it comes to should I play and how much should I play, right? If a guy's going into his contract year and he's got a bum ankle, he's not playing, right? He's not going to risk that. He doesn't want to go on tape. He doesn't want to be on tape, play hurt, and have his last memories on tape be of him playing bad. And he also doesn't want to risk further injury. So I think you will see guys make business decisions when they're not all the way healthy, they're not going to play. But also when they are on the field, we have to see what exactly are they doing. Because I get wanting to accumulate stats. I get wanting to put the best tape forward. But you also have to show that you could be a team player, right? I don't think any of the 31 other teams want to go out and see you being an anti-team guy. So if you're on the field, I think Devon Gottschall is wrong. If you're on the field, I think you have to do what you're coached to do and show that you are coachable. If you don't want to be on the field because you want to nurse something a little longer or you want to stay healthier, well, then that I can't really have a problem with. But I do think it is a little deal. Off field, don't think it's that big an issue, right? Guy's got a bum forearm, doesn't want to play. Guy's got a banged up shoulder, doesn't want to risk further injury. If it was week 17 and we're fighting for the playoffs, I'm in there. But it's week 17 and we're out of it, then I'm out of there. I don't have a problem with that. But on the field, I think it is a big deal, right? I think it matters on the field when we sit here and say, okay, we're going to go play for ourselves now. That's not something you want to do. Okay, so little deal overall, right? I think it's no deal when we talk about getting guys to play or not. I think it's a fairly big deal when we talk about on-field performance. So I'll kind of go in the middle, right? I'm a 0 on one spot, at 75 to 100 on another. I'll get in the middle there at 50 here. So I'll call it a little deal. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. We've got a couple other Patriots-related things I want to get to here in the 5 o'clock hour. Danny, give me Bill Belichick number 4 in a second. This is a question I have for the audience as well. Bill Belichick last week did not name a starting quarterback publicly. He did not name a starting quarterback publicly, right? We went right up until game time and we had no idea whether it was going to be Mac Jones or whether it was going to be Bailey Zappi. Bill Belichick was asked about not naming a starting quarterback officially. Here's what he said.
I did exactly what you said. Mac had the majority of the reps.
So it wasn't 50-50?
No.
Then why publicly were you so hesitant to say that Mac was the starter?
Because I don't announce starters. I don't announce starters at any position.
Well, the quarterback position is different, and it's not been a question mark. But earlier this year, you've said Mac's the starter. You said Cam Newton was the starter when Cam was here. You did the same with Matt Castle. I mean, that has been done. It's not totally out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Well, I didn't announce a starter, and I'm not going to announce starters at every position every week. So I get asked that every week. I'm not really in that. That's not really what I'm going to do.
Do you have a problem with Bill Belichick not announcing his starting quarterback? Do you have a problem with that? 802-585-3026. I will get the first word on this one, Danny, and I want your opinion as well. I'm annoyed by it, but I don't have a problem with it per se. Okay, Bill Belichick is under no obligation to give the media anything, right? He's under obligation to speak to the media. He's not under obligation to give us anything of real substance. He certainly has taken his personal freedoms with that in his career. He gives us nothing of any substance. So I have no official problem with him not telling us who the starting quarterback is, as long as he tells the team who the starting quarterback is in a normal time frame. The team deserves to know. The team doesn't deserve to be left in the dark. The team deserves to know who they're preparing to battle with, right? I don't need to know. I would like to know, but I don't need to know. If he wants to withhold it from us, then so be it. But don't withhold it from them. And what's been told to us is that members of the team didn't officially know. Maybe they thought it was Mac. Maybe they read the tea leaves that it was going to be Mac, but they didn't officially know. It matters to an offensive lineman. Who am I running? Who am I blocking for, right? Because every quarterback is different. Well, this quarterback gets the snap and likes to roll left. This quarterback gets the snap and likes to roll right. This quarterback likes to run a little bit more. So now I need to understand. I can get called for holding more easily because this guy's under center. This guy takes a 3-step drop. This guy takes a 5-step drop. The offensive line deserves to know who they're blocking for and that quarterback's tendencies. The wide receivers deserve to know, hey, this quarterback throws a better deep ball. This quarterback likes to throw underneath. With this quarterback, we run more screens. With that quarterback, we run more slants. With this quarterback throws a tighter spiral. This quarterback throws more of a duck. This guy throws the ball with a little more velocity. This guy throws with a little more touch. This guy's great on the sidelines. That guy's great down the middle. The players on the team deserve to know who they're playing with. I don't have a problem if he doesn't tell us. I do have a problem if he doesn't tell them. That bothers me greatly. And look, I get it. You wanted to have a quarterback competition. You wanted to give guys a few days of practice to figure out who looked best. Let the guys know by Friday or by Saturday at the very least. So, hey, Mac won the competition. He's starting this week. Hey, Mac's going to be your guy, David Andrews, and you're snapping the football to. That is fair, and that's not too much to ask. I am annoyed that we don't know who the quarterback is. I am annoyed that we have a 2-9 team that's going to these gamesmanship things. This is not Game 4 of the World Series where the manager has to sit here and say, well, hey, this guy was due to pitch, but he just threw 2 innings in relief in Game 2, so we're not really sure who's going to get out there, where he's trying to put a shred of doubt in the other manager's mind. That I get. This is a circus, right? 2-9 teams don't need to be exhibiting gamesmanship when they're playing 3-8 teams like the New York Giants. But all of that, as long as you tell the guys on the team who is playing, I don't have a huge problem with it. I think it creates an unnecessary distraction where Zappy and Mac have to go and do this dog and pony show and talk to the media and pretend like they don't know what's up. But as long as Bill Belichick tells the players, then I don't care as much if we don't get the official depth chart. Danny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with you. I think it's unfair for Mac and Bailey to both find out, a day before the game who's starting and everybody with the team. But Texter makes a good point that keeping the opposition not knowing as well is probably a good thing. So
yes, but they're 2-9.
Right.
They're 2-9.
The small advantage you get from that, I guess.
They're not 9-2. If this was 49ers Eagles on Sunday coming up, where it's the 2 best teams in the NFC, and they're battling for the number 1 seed, and the Eagles want to not announce if Lane Johnson's going to play because it changes the dynamic of the Eagles' offensive line, that I get. This is not that. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Danny's got a big trip planned. I've got some ideas for him to make it better. We'll talk about it next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. Israelis celebrated the release of 12 more hostages today by Hamas in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners. CBS's Kimmy McCormick tells us it comes as the U.S. pushes for another ceasefire extension.
CIA Director William Burns is in Qatar for talks, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be back in the Middle East this week. In Brussels today,
I'm very pleased to see hostages returning home, coming back to be with their loved ones. And we're determined to continue that for as long as possible to bring as many people home as we possibly can.
In Georgia today, remembrances for former First Lady Rosalind Carter. Here's CBS's Skylar Henry.
Seated in the front row, her husband of 77 years, former President Jimmy Carter, in a wheelchair and lap blanket. The Carter's son, Chip, memorialized his mother.
My mother, Rosalind Carter, was the most beautiful woman I've ever met, and pretty to look at, too.
And daughter Amy shared a love letter her father wrote 75 years ago.
But when I see you, I fall in love with you all over again. Does that seem strange to you? It doesn't to me.
Disgraced South Carolina attorney Alec Murdaugh is getting another 27 years tagged on to his life sentence for stealing from his clients.
I am guilty, and yes, sir, I believe that I would be found guilty.
He still denies killing his wife and son. The House could vote to expel embattled Republican Congressman George Santos this week. Here's CBS's Matt Piper.
Santos has already survived 2 attempts to remove him this year, but on this new vote to oust him, he says,
if they want to send me home, if they think this was a fair process, if they think this is how it should be done, and if they're confident that this is a constitutional way of doing it, God bless their hearts.
An early winter blast is freezing out several states in the Northeast tonight, including Pennsylvania. Rich Kirksetter's in Erie County and says they've gotten more than a foot of snow so far.
The other snowfalls that we had years past, last couple of years, made us into wimps. We're not used to this. No, this is good. We need it. We need the winter weather.
Strong winter winds even toppled over the National Christmas tree in D.C. Longtime Berkshire Hathaway Vice Chair Charlie Munger has died. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
Although Warren Buffett is often seen to be the face of Berkshire Hathaway, Charlie Munger was an equal and important partner to Buffett. Buffett's nickname for Munger was the abominable no man because he loved to reject potential investments.
This is CBS News.
You don't need a job platform, you need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
Looking to brighten up your home and save on energy costs? Barrie Electric and Lighting is proud to partner with Efficiency Vermont to help you find the perfect light fixture. Their expert staff can show you table lamps, track lighting, recessed lighting, and more. That will enable you to use Energy Star certified LED light bulbs. LED bulbs provide the same brightness, but with 90% less energy consumption, which means big savings for you. Visit Barrie Electric and Lighting today on the Barrie Montpelier Road or online at barrieelectric.com.
Good signs catch your eye and promote your business. Hi, this is Trish at Always On Time Signs. We design and produce custom signs for businesses big and small. Commercial signs, safety signs, banners, window, wall, and floor graphics, and much more. You'll be impressed by our customized designs and quick service. And you'll love our competitive prices. Come see how our experienced designers can create the sign you're looking for. Always On Time Signs in Berlin. Online at alwaysontimesigns.com.
Every 36 seconds, a vehicle is stolen in the United States. Cars are an important investment, and you have the power to protect it. Remove valuables from your car or place out of view. Roll up your windows completely. Don't leave your car running while unattended, especially during the winter. And always lock your doors and take your keys or fob with you. If you know something about a vehicle theft, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB.
This is a public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Tracy Schamberger describes her experience advertising with WDEV.
When WDEV presented Age Well with an opportunity to co-present a weekly live interview, we jumped at the opportunity. We see a direct increase in calls to our helpline because of our spot on WDEV, which is exactly what we had hoped for. We have experienced incredible results.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We're going to get to Danny's trip here in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit more real quick about the Patriots quarterback situation. Danny, did you see the news from a little while ago? Did you see this?
What's the news?
The Patriots have brought back Will Grier, leaving us in the exact same position that we were in this time last week. So the Patriots had Will Grier on the roster. We said that Will Grier should start the game against the Giants. He was then subsequently cut, I assume, in some kind of weird roster maneuvering on Saturday. And now on Tuesday, he's been brought back. He's with the team. And now we can all sit here and say, we want Will Grier to start again. So I don't know what Bill Belichick is doing. I don't know what salary cap stuff is happening behind the scenes. I don't know what this does as far as somebody being activated. Somehow there's some roster gymnastics being done here. But Will Grier is back on the team, and we are left exactly where we were a week ago. And I would like to see, Danny, Will Grier start. Right? They're going to play the Chargers. You're going to be at the game. I would like to see Will Grier start. And you know what? I want to see him start, and I want to see him play the whole game. And if he goes 28 for 37 for 384 and 4 scores, then great. And if he goes 4 for 18 for 36 yards and 4 picks, then so be it. But I just want to know. Because I don't want to watch Mac play anymore. I don't want to see Mac mentally go further and further into the toilet. And I have seen enough of Zappy that I don't need to see him play anymore. I would like to see Will Grier play. Because, look, maybe, just maybe, Will Grier plays well enough down the stretch that you decide, you know what? This is a guy that we can roll with, at the very least, as our backup, and we can clean house on the quarterbacks we got outside of Grier. Maybe Grier becomes our backup. Heck, maybe Grier has a great 5-game stretch down here at the end where, like Matt Flynn did in Week 17 for the Packers all those years ago, he now has some real value on the market. Now, Flynn was a free agent and got signed by Seattle. I don't know how Grier's contract works. I imagine he's a free agent at the end of the year, but maybe Grier can go make himself a bunch of money. Maybe you can have him under contract and trade him. I don't care. But playing him and hoping there's a chance that he hits seems better than the alternatives to me. I would like to see Will Grier play. Since we are here and since he is back, I would like to see this guy play. I assume that he won't. For all I know, he'll be cut again on Saturday in some roster maneuvering, and he'll just be there as practice squad fodder for the rest of the season. But I would like to see Will Grier play. On the quarterback note, Bill O'Brien says the quarterback plan for this week against the Chargers is the same as last week. Well, my question is, what plan was that? Well, I mean, seriously, what plan is he referring to? Because I don't think what happened last week was part of the plan. And so I'll ask you this, Danny. Do you think it was planned for Mac to play the first half and Zappy to play the second? Do you think that was the plan all along?
No, I think it was play Mac until he throws 2 interceptions and then bench him.
I think you're exactly right. Okay. So for Bill O'Brien to say the plan is the same this week as last week, I hope he's just referring to the plan is for Mac to start, because what we saw last week and how it transpired, you couldn't have planned that. Okay. You couldn't have scripted that. We heard through the week that maybe Zappy and Mac would play. But if you're going to do that, then we're talking about like, okay, Mac gets the first quarter and Zappy gets the second, or Mac gets the first series and Zappy gets the second. If you're really going to rotate quarterbacks college style, That's how you do it. You don't put a cold quarterback into a game, in a tight game in the NFL, off the bench to start the second half and tell me that's part of the plan. Because that's not the best for Zappy. He's in no rhythm. That's not the best for the team who hasn't played with him. It's certainly not best for Mac in terms of his confidence. So what happened last week against the Giants, that couldn't have been the plan. The plan clearly was start Mac and have Zappy ready in case Mac screws up. I guess that's the plan again this week, but don't tell me what happened last week was the plan. If you were going to play both of them, you were going to play them both rotating in and out. What if Mac had come out and been great in the first half? You weren't going to bench him, I hope. So the plan was never to have Zappy start the second half. The plan was always to let Mac go until he couldn't go anymore. And I guess that's the plan for this week. And Danny, as someone going to the game, how excited are you to see Mac playing again on Sunday, it sounds like?
Until he throws his interceptions, I'm excited to see him.
Are you excited for the game?
Yes. No, I'm still excited. Even if they lose, I'm excited to see them play.
You should be excited. Going to a football game is a fun experience. It's a different experience. And I will say I've been to limited football stadiums, right? It's like I don't have great experience comparing venues or whatever. The seats that you are in, they are awesome. And you will feel very close to the action in them. So it will, whatever's transpiring on the field, you will, I think, like you will feel part of the action, and it will be like your experience will be enhanced because of where you're sitting and because of the view you have and because of how intimate it feels. So I think you will have a blast regardless of what's happening on the scoreboard. Let's talk a little logistics here. I've done this trip now 2 years in a row. I consider myself a bit of a self-taught expert in Patriots games. Take me through your travel itinerary here. Game is Sunday at 1. Where are you leaving from, or what? Take me through the plan.
Very exciting. So leaving from Albany, where my brother is.
So you're driving from Vermont to Albany, New York.
Yes, Saturday.
On Saturday afternoon.
Day before. Yep.
Okay.
Then we're going to Pawtucket for one of those fan trains that leaves a couple hours before the game, drops you off at Foxborough train station, which is a quarter mile from the stadium, and then I believe that's still an hour before game time. So I don't know what we're doing at that point. Probably eating and getting into the seats early.
So that sounds like a good plan. So you're taking the train, which was my suggestion to you.
Yes,
the
great
fan
idea.
Shuttle. So you're not parking at Gillette Stadium. That's good. One, it'll be a zoo getting out of there, and two, it'll be expensive. So you're saving yourself that hassle. That's smart. I did this a couple years in a row, right? Jess and I went to the Jags game 2 years ago. We went to the Colts game last year. One was in January. One was in October. We did the same thing both times. We stayed overnight on Saturday in Dedham, Massachusetts, which I couldn't tell you how far that is from Foxborough, but it can't be more than a half an hour, I feel like. We weren't on the train for very long. And we stayed at a Hilton, and so that you had the Hilton parking lot, and then basically right out of the Hilton parking lot, there was another parking lot in what was called like the Dedham Center or something like that, where there's like a handful of buildings. It's a small center, handful of buildings and a giant parking lot. And that is a train station. And that's where the Patriots fan shuttle is caught. So as I understand it, I think there's 3 Patriots fan shuttles, one that originates in Boston, one that originates in Pawtucket, and one that originates in Providence. I think that's right.
I only saw 2, but it could have changed.
Well, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, but nonetheless, we were on the one I think that originates from Boston. So game time was 1. They get you there at noon, and I think we got picked up at like 11:30 or so. So yeah, I guess like a half hour on the train we were in. So we got picked up. It was very, very easy. And we had a place to sit, right? So we had probably had like 6 stops get on before us. So the train was close to full. We were one of the last stops on it. And we get on the train. We found a place to sit, always. Get off. You get dropped off. You're pretty much right outside the stadium. You say it's a quarter mile. You're basically like when you get off the train, you are looking at the stadium. It is. I mean, maybe that walk is a quarter mile.
That's just what the website said. I don't know.
But you are directly looking at the stadium. So, and then your seats are in the second deck. So you just walk up a flight of stairs and go around go around, depending, I think you get dropped off. You got to go around like a little bit in a circle for a little while. But you're right there, and the seats are great. Leaving the stadium, as I recall, they leave like a half hour after the game. So whether the Patriots have won 38-13 and everybody wants to check out early, or they've lost 38-13 and everyone wants to check out early, you're in there for the entirety. So half hour after the game ends, you're to get back on the shuttle. This is where it gets a little stressful, at least for me, right? I have a bit of OCD. I don't think I have it actually clinically diagnosed, but I am kind of constantly paranoid about things, right? We've talked on the show before you worked here, Danny, like I'm constantly checking things over, right? Like, did I lock my door? Are my car lights off?
Keys, phone, wallet.
I once drove, this is a true story. I once drove from Waterbury back to my apartment at Essex. Jess was gone. I once drove from Waterbury to my apartment at Essex just to make sure I had turned the water off.
Wow.
I was having visions that I flooded the apartment, that I had left the water on. And then if it's not that, I'm worrying, okay, did I leave the stove off? It's to the point where when she's gone, I almost don't want to use things because I don't want to forget to have left them on. I had a storage unit for a while in Essex, and every time I drove by it, I would just look at is my door down? Did I make sure I locked it the last time I was here 3 weeks ago? I haven't had a call yet telling me the whole thing's been cleaned out, so it's probably good, but I think I'm still going to go and check. So I'm constantly nervy about this kind of stuff. So just make sure when you get out there, you get on the right train going back, right? You get on the right train going back, that you're on the one, because they'll tell you like, okay, this one's going eastbound or this one's going westbound. I'm like, no. That doesn't do anything for me. I'm not from here. Tell me if it's going to Pawtucket or if it's going to Boston. That's all I care about. Is it going to Pawtucket or is it going to Boston?
We'll ask the driver if we have to.
No, they're very nervy. They're not nervy. They're very antsy at the end of the game. So everybody's hopped up, right? The team is either won or the team is lost. People are in a great mood and they're bouncing off the walls, or people in a bad mood. People are very, very drunk. There's the police there that are trying to keep everything in order. So even when you ask them, like, hey, which way's Providence? Which one's Boston? They'll just look at you and go, that one's going westbound. Okay, that doesn't help me. Which one's going to Boston? That's what I would like to know at this point. So that's my only concern there. When the game ends, I would kind of like, if the game is not close, like it's not going to come down to something at the last second, my advice to you would be to kind of just be ready to get out of there the minute the game ends, right? You don't really want to be, okay, in your seat, kind of picking up. All right, well, the train doesn't leave until 12:30. Okay, we got another 15 minutes. Let me go check out the gift shop. Because if you do that, you're going to end up standing on the train. And you want to make sure you get a seat. Even though it's only a half hour or so, you want to make sure you get a seat. So that's my advice.
So somewhere in between sprinting and pushing people over and not going too slow.
You don't need to do that. I just, as long when the final horn ends, I would just kind of get down there. In that situation, better to be too early than better be too late, right? You're not going to miss the train. You'd be on it no matter what. But if you want to be with your brother and have a seat, I recommend kind of not lollygagging.
Is there an organized line that forms, or everybody just stands around and it's first one on?
It's it's first one on. They'll let you on like pretty quickly when the game ends, and you'll be sitting there for a while, like at that rate, right? Like, but they'll let you on pretty quickly. My advice to you: do not sit near the drunk people, because
that's everybody.
That's a good portion of people, but not everybody. There were definitely people there the first year. There was a guy who puked not that far from us. That wasn't all that fun to be around. And then there was a group of drunk, like 20-year-olds, bless their hearts. Like I could have been one of them back in the day, that were like singing at the top of their lungs for like 15 minutes. And like that, they were obnoxious. So you'd like to try to avoid all the really drunk people if you could.
What songs were they singing? Was it anything good?
Not really. They were also playing, they were playing some kind of trivia game at one point, and like didn't know the most basic of answers. And at this point, as I get older, I'm no pop culture savant, but like these were like, Jennifer Aniston is known for playing what character in Friends, and they're like, "What's Friends?" Like
nothing like to do with the alcohol.
That might have had nothing to do with alcohol, so they were kind of annoying. Your seats are awesome, right? I've sat in these same seats before. So second level, here's my only thing you got to be aware of. check the weather. Look on the weather app in the computer next to you. Check the weather for Foxborough on Sunday and let me know what it says. Okay. I'll wait. You find it and tell me what it says, because that's going to play into the next story I'm about to tell.
I'm getting to it.
It's spelled F-O.
Oh, it's in there. Hold on. It's just loading. It's slow.
Sometimes it's spelled Foxborough, actually O-U-G-H.
Yeah. I've seen both.
I prefer B-O-R-O. Has it loaded yet?
It has. Sunday, 44. Looks like there's chances of rain.
Okay, that's my only worry for you, and here's why. I don't know if you heard this story last year that I told, but so you're in the second level. You are not undercover, which is fine, right? Like it is what it is. You're at an outdoor event. I anticipate maybe getting wet at it, so you're out in the elements. But the third level is not directly above you, but it's a little bit over to the side. So the corner of the third level is like 5 seats to your left. So if it is raining, rain will drip off of the corner of the third level. And then because of the wind, it very well may blow onto you. Now, if it's already raining, then I guess so be it. You're getting wet no matter what. But what happened last year is it rained in the morning. So the seats were wet. The corner of the bleachers were dripping off water, but it was no longer raining. But we were getting soaked because of the thing blowing off the corner.
Just a steady drip on your head the entire game?
Just a steady drip on our head. And then when the wind, would hit, sometimes you get multiple drips at once. Maybe this one would go over your head, but then it would come back. So that's my only warning. I'm not trying to scare you. The seats are great. The environment's awesome. You have nobody behind you. So you're in the last row. You're free to stand up the whole game if you want to. You're free to sit the whole game as long as you can see in front of you. The people around you who have seats are all very nice because they're season ticket holders. So they're all pretty good. They're all pretty well behaved. Like, that's awesome. The only peril was this water dripping off the side.
Make a little game out of it. Catch it in an empty beer cup.
I'd recommend drinking it, so I would check.
Not drinking it, just catching it.
Catching it in the beer cup. Yeah, you can make a fun game out of that. So, let me see. It was last year at the hotel. The fire alarm also went off at like 6 a.m. So that wasn't a great experience. So I'm glad you're not staying overnight. All right. John says, Danny, enjoy the game. My son took me to one. It was a different experience from watching on TV. It's a very different experience from watching on TV. No first down marker, harder to see the chains. You can't always immediately see when the flag has been thrown. That kind of stuff. So, but you'll have fun, Danny. I think you'll have fun. And hopefully they play well.
I think just in general, seeing guys bigger, faster, stronger, the TV doesn't do that justice, right?
What's interesting, I actually think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being prisoner of the moment because you're asking me the question now. The guys some of the guys don't look as big as you would think in person, right? Like you realize, like if you saw Trent Brown, you'd be like, wow, this guy's a mammoth, right? He's 6'8" and 300 plus pounds. But like Tyquan Thornton is like 5'10" and a twig. So he doesn't look like he should be a professional athlete. So some of these guys will probably be less impressive to you athletically, or at least size wise. Some of them will live up to it, but not everybody's as big, right? Like the NFL outside of the line and a tight end is not always predicated on size, right? There's a lot of tiny safeties and a lot of tiny DBs and a lot of tiny wideouts, tiny running backs. So I was not underwhelmed, that's the wrong word, but I was less impressed with the size of some of the guys when I went. So, but I can't wait for you to have stories on Monday.
I hope I have some good ones.
Tex says, take a limo to enjoy the experience. I have 3 times. That sounds like bragging. Why would we need to take a limo? Danny, do you want to take a limo to the game?
If it's available.
You're not really have you ever been in a limo?
No.
Not even for the, one time for the prom.
Typical.
Did you go to the prom? First question is, did you go to the prom?
I did not.
You didn't go to the prom?
No, I just avoided it. Probably a bad decision in
Junior
hindsight.
or senior year?
No.
So I did not go to junior year. I went midnight bowling junior year.
I like that better, actually.
Senior year, I went to the prom. I had a girlfriend at the time. She was all into the limo thing. That was the thing to do. I didn't really care. My dad had a nice car at that point, so I was like, well, why don't I just drive you and we can just take this car rather than, the car I was driving before, which was a Ford Contour. I was like, what if I just drove you in this car? No, I really want the limo. So yeah, we did the limo thing, and that's the only time I've been in one for a wedding also, I should say. I've been in ones for weddings. I don't know how many weddings you've been to, but you're at the age now where you're going to have friends who are getting married. You will probably be at more weddings in the near future, but I have been at limos in weddings.
One of my cousins had a limo for their wedding, but I was not in that wedding party, so I was not in that limo.
I can't remember. I've been in limos. I think I've been in a limo for wedding. I've been in party buses. I've been in shuttles. I've been in a couple of different things. I do believe I've been in a limo, but I definitely was in a limo at the prom. And,
How many in there? 10 of you?
Yeah, it was like 10 of us. And you couldn't drink then. So, I guess the whole fun of being in a limo is so you can drink and, have fancy, champagne out of fancy glasses and stuff. All we had was, Coke and pretzels like we were on an airplane. So, I remember almost nothing about my prom, almost nothing. I really think, Danny,
that uneventful, huh?
Looking back, you're fine to have not gone to the prom.
I didn't think I was missing much at the time. I don't know.
You're not. We did this story a bunch of months ago. This was actually a story from my high school, but we talked a lot about it as it relates to Vermont. A group of girls from my school's softball team actually skipped the state semifinals and the state finals to go to the prom. So they skipped out on playing for a state championship in order to go to the prom. And I can't sit here and tell them that their decision was wrong. I can tell you it's a decision that I wouldn't have made. And I can tell you that looking back at it years ago, winning a state championship would have been far more memorable than going to your prom. Because
who schedules both of those on the same day?
That was poor, right? I blame the school for that also. I do. And I've talked about that with people before, how can you let this happen? But anyways, I get together with my buddies and we've talked about high school sports 9 zillion times since we graduated. Never, almost never have we talked about the prom, because I think only one person that I know actually married the person they went to the prom with. The story of high school sweethearts is very real. Everybody probably knows one or two couples that have been together forever like that. I know one of them, maybe two, but nobody I'm friends with practically is with the person they went to the prom with. So therefore, once you stop being with that person, the stories become irrelevant, because that person and you are not together. You're not together for a reason. And the last thing you want to do is go and think about that person more often than not. So prom didn't do a whole lot for me. It was a lot of money spent and wasn't that great. I have a picture of me with all the baseball guys from my class from the senior prom. And that's one of the few pictures of us together. That's my best memory from the prom, is that picture. And that's it. So, all right. I don't quite know how we got to where we just got, but
Lazy River.
Yeah. I hope you have a great time at the game on Sunday. I'm going to be at the UVM game on Saturday against Yale. It's too bad you can't come to that because you're going to be starting your travels down to get to the Patriots game. So I will have stories, hopefully, from Patrick Jim. You'll have stories from Foxborough. One of the guys playing in Patrick Jim on Saturday night will be Aaron Deloney. UVM men's basketball team is 5-2 right now. They're coming off a tough loss against Bradley. They're back in action tomorrow at home against Dartmouth, and then that Saturday game. Aaron Deloney for his bi-weekly conversation with us. How did the Cats rebound from Saturday's loss to get a win tomorrow? AD tells us next on DEV.
The countdown to 4,000 is now underway at Memorial Valley Ford. Folks, earlier this year, I challenged my 3 teams, and here's Rick the Kid to tell you how we're going to get there.
Dan set the bar high, but we're pulling out all the stops to make crazy deals and reach our goal of 4,000 vehicles sold by the end of 2023. With huge Ford year-end rebates, low-interest financing on many models to qualified buyers, and some incredible lease deals, now is a great time to get a vehicle at Lamoille Valley Ford. Come get your best deal on any new Ford SUV or light-duty truck in stock, and Lamoille Valley Ford will include 4 winter tires installed for just $1. Pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, no problem. Lamoille Valley Ford will still include 4 winter tires installed for $1. That's huge. Folks, right now at Lamoille Valley Ford, our lot is full with well over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock and hands down Vermont's largest selection of Ford trucks. Woo!
So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and get a great deal plus 4 snow tires for $1 during the countdown to 4,000 happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Hi, this is Patty Robbins of Green Mountain Credit Union. We are very pleased to announce our newest mortgage program, Move and Improve. With the shortage of available housing in Vermont, our Move and Improve program will allow you to purchase your new home and borrow the funds too, so you can create the home of your dreams in a single transaction. Please call your local Green Mountain Credit Union branch located in South Burlington, Rutland, and Berlin, and ask to speak to one of our mortgage loan officers.
Hi, this is Rachel from Waterbury Public Library. The Friends of the Waterbury Public Library would like to invite you to join us for a special musical program on Thursday, November 30th at 6 p.m. in the Waterbury Municipal Center Steel Room. The Softer Side of Celtic, a gathering of Celtic and Christmas, features Scottish musician Jeff Snow. Jeff, a multi-instrumentalist, will play traditional and original tunes from Scotland, Ireland, and England, including a selection of familiar and lesser-known holiday songs. Please join us for a peaceful evening of song, story, and traditional Scottish treats, sponsored by the Friends of the Waterbury Public Library.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Whatever your interest, sports.
It would be monumental if they could come away with 2 wins right
current
now.
Events.
Vermonters are very used to a serious, deliberate budget process.
Weather.
Now, typically, El Niños and La Niñas have generally a weaker effect.
WDEV has a podcast for you. Locally produced podcasts of our own shows and podcasts from our partners at CBS and ESPN. To access the full listing of podcasts, go to our website at WDEVradio.com.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, 6:30 on a Tuesday. That means it's time for our weekly Cats Chat. Every other week, we talk UVM men's basketball with Aaron Deloney, and AD is with us now. The Catamounts are coming off a 79-70 loss against Bradley over the weekend over there in Illinois. They'll be back at it tomorrow when they take on Dartmouth over at Patrick Gym. They call it the Twin State rivalry. I don't know how it's really a rivalry when Dartmouth never wins. I think it's like 30 consecutive losses, but that's besides the point. They'll be back home again also on Saturday in the game I'll be at against Yale. The Cats are 5-2 overall, and Danny tells me Aaron Deloney is on the phone line now. So Aaron, thank you for being with us as always. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being with us since we last spoke. You've played a bunch of games, finished out the Myrtle Beach Invitational, got to the final there. Tough loss against Bradley. We'll get to that in a second. But first off, how is Thanksgiving on the road with the UVM men's hoops team? How was Turkey Day?
It was pretty good, actually. I went to Coach's house. One of our assistants his mom made us some food that was actually really good. The sweet potatoes won the night.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's start with the Myrtle Beach Invitational. Yeah. You guys come from behind. Really good win against College of Charleston in the opener there. Second game against St. Louis. You kind of dominated that one against a team from the A-10. Tough loss against Liberty in the final. Overall, what was your impression of the tournament, of the week down there?
It was definitely a fun spot, great getaway, get to be in some different weather. And I think after we won that first game, after being down like that, it gave us so much confidence. going to those other games. So when we played St. Louis, we kind of had some stuff rolling. Just tried to carry over what we did in that second half against Charleston. And then when we played Liberty, obviously they're a really well-coached team. I think we played them good. Just some mistakes at the end kind of got us to what happened.
How do you feel physically by the time you get to 3 games in 4 days? You did have the off day on that Saturday, so there was an off day. But physically, how do you feel 3 games in 4 days?
It's definitely tough, especially on the legs. People that play a lot of minutes, the body's starting to hurt. But I think it's more mental at that point, just kind of getting over it and just not making mistakes, mental mistakes. No matter how you feel, you got to just push through, even though it's not a usual thing to play that many games in that amount of days. But
Bradley was an interesting game the other day. You guys ultimately lose 79-70, but you go on a 13-0 run or something at one point. You're up a few points in that one. Then they kind of take control early in the second half. You make a bunch of buckets late to make it seem a little closer maybe than it was. What was your overall impression of Saturday night against Bradley?
They were a good team, really well coached, and our coach preaches when we play well coached teams, we have to be more buttoned up because we can get away with some stuff against other teams that may not be as buttoned up. So I think we just had way too many of those mishaps and like not being able to switch, not communicating. And it was just, I don't know, their defense was really good. They were long. They played like 6'8" at the 3, 6'9", and they had a really big 7-footer. So they were a good team all around, and we just didn't have our best night. But, you kind of need some of those games early in the season, just kind of like we saw last year, to show you where you're at and show you what you kind of need to get better at.
Coming home for a couple of games in a row here, right? Dartmouth tomorrow night, Yale on Saturday. We're going to see Colgate in here in the following weekend. So now, what's it like to kind of get back into a normal routine where you're back at home, you're practicing in your own gym, you're going to class, the routine is kind of settling in now. What's that going to mean for this group?
I think it's going to give us a breather for sure, knowing that we got home games, some sort of advantage a little bit being at home, more rest. Obviously, we get to practice more, which we need, especially with this group, being that we're like super new. So it's good. Anytime you can play games at home against some solid teams is definitely good, and you don't have to travel and worry about missing those practice days.
We're talking with Aaron Deloney, UVM men's basketball star, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Let's talk about a couple things that have gone really well for this team here since we last spoke. First and foremost was Nick Fiorillo coming back into the rotation on Saturday against Bradley. I did not know he was going to be back this early. He played 16 minutes, scored a couple of points, couple of rebounds. What exactly does adding him to the rotation do for this group?
I think it changes our whole dynamic when he's in the game because he moves the ball better than anybody. He, carved out that ball moving role last year, 2 years ago, and really has just gotten so much better with it. He just keeps the ball moving in the middle of possessions. And our offense, it just looks so much better and feels so much better when he's in the game. So I'm happy that he's back for sure.
I can't, he doesn't score like a Jokic. I'm trying to think of an NBA player who he compares to, but he's just such a good passing big man, especially from the perimeter. You don't see that a lot in the college game.
Right. I think there's just windows that he sees and that he's used to throwing, and he does it so much in practice. Like we tell him, like, take chances. If you turn it over a couple of times, that's fine. So in the game, you can see like what windows are open, who can I get it to. But no, he's so good at it, and he's just a super smart player out there. He passes like he's a point guard.
Sam Alamutu continues to be excellent, right? 19 minutes the other day, 8 points, led the team in rebounding with 11. Man, I don't know if it's pure athleticism. I don't know if it's pure hustle, a mixture of the two, but he's been very, very impressive.
Yeah, definitely both. He really locked in on the role that coaches gave him and have been wanting him to play. And he's just been killing it, He's on every offensive rebound, defensive rebound, chasing balls around, guarding people's best defender or best offensive player. And he's really just focused on that role. And he knows, like, if I do this is how I'll get on the court. And he's been doing a great job out of it, leading us in boards, too.
I've been so focused on wondering if you can dunk. I never really thought about Matt Veretto's ability to dunk. He went baseline the other day and threw it down lefty. I didn't know he had that in him, AD.
Yeah, he's bouncy. I actually posted up on that play and hit him. I thought he was going to shoot 3. He ripped baseline and threw it down. I was surprised myself, but he's definitely got it now.
Let's talk about you a little bit. You struggled that first game in Myrtle Beach, had just 8 points, but they all kind of came late against Charleston. When you have a tough night, how do you get yourself locked in to come back the next time out and not let it kind of linger?
When I miss shots, I got a lot of makes coming. Statistically, I can shoot the ball, I can score the ball. So I just don't get down. I just try to come out even more confident than I was that night, knowing that there's a lot of makes coming. So that's pretty much my mentality.
How do you go about trying to find/maintain consistency? Right, you had 5 points one game, 15 the next. The other day you had 3 against Bradley. We know you can score. You know you can score. How do you go about trying to find and kind of create that consistency in your game?
Just kind of preparing the exact same way, and not getting discouraged when I miss a shot, honestly, and thinking, the next one might be a bad one. Just kind of taking the same in rhythm shots and just trying not to think too much is my biggest thing.
The following is an observation. It's not a criticism. I want your honest assessment of it. So you're playing more point guard this year than you have in the past. So plays are not necessarily being run for you. They're being initiated by you. Yeah. When you are the point guard, how does that kind of impact your ability to score? Because you obviously have to work harder to get the ball back at some point in the possession. How does that kind of change things for you, playing point more?
Yeah, it's definitely different. As a point guard, your kind of scoring mentality definitely has to shift just because, you're starting the possession and you're the point guard, so you're a ball mover, right? So I think it's definitely tough because the mentality is totally different when you're playing the point guard or the two. So I think just kind of focusing in on what you are in that moment for me is the biggest thing. If I get open, look, shoot it, but it can't be too early in the possession where it's too quick of a shot.
I guess maybe the easy answer is because of your height. You've probably played point guard a lot of your career, but have you played point guard a lot of your career?
Not all of high school, yeah. Then my freshman year here, I kind of played a little bit. That was the most point guard I played as a freshman here. And then after that, last year, the year before, I was kind of just off ball being that scorer for us. So.
Well, we'll continue to see how this materializes through the course of the year. Again, I'm going to be at Saturday's game against Yale. I'm very, very excited for that one. Something else I wanted to ask you about was we talked a couple weeks ago about how this is probably the most athletic team I can remember in my 8 years now of covering UVM. But yet, 282nd in college hoops in free throws attempted per game. Is that a product of, okay, we're playing bigger conference teams with bigger guys, it's not as easy to get to the lane? Are we going to see that balance out more throughout the year? How do you kind of balance your team's ability to shoot, but also the desire to get to the line and kind of use that athleticism?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely got to attack more. Played, obviously, more away games than home. So I don't know. I think it'll definitely balance out for sure. We got a ton of athleticism. We just got to, I think, attack more and put more pressure on defense and not just accept teams being gapped up and their help, because we shoot a lot of threes and sometimes we settle. So I definitely think over time it'll balance out because we got guys that can really get down there and make things happen.
How much do you pay attention to what's happening around the America East at this time of the year? Are you paying attention at all, seeing that Bryant beat Florida Atlantic, that UMass Lowell's got a Power 5 win, or are you not paying attention at all until conference play?
No, yeah, we definitely watched a couple of those games. When we were in Myrtle Beach, we saw a few at the end. We saw the Bryant FAU one. We don't really go out of our way to look at it, but if a game is on, we'll watch it. We hear some news about it, we'll tap in, but we kind of just focus on us for sure and just winning every game that's in front of us and not looking forward or worried about what every other team is doing in our conference.
Does the group watch other college hoop games? Are you watching, Duke and whoever on a Tuesday night, or are you guys more focused on NBA games?
I think it's a balance, a little bit of both. Whichever game is more interesting, you can flip through and see what is what. But Myrtle Beach, we watched a couple college games for sure after our games at night. But it's a balance. Whatever game's the best at the time.
I don't know if you saw it on Friday. You might have been traveling, but the UVM women almost beat North Carolina, number 18 in the country, the other day. They lost by 3. They had that game by double digits in the second half. When you're that close, man, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, they were, what was it, like up like 14 with like 7 assists, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was tough, but they're a really good, well-coached team. Our girls are super good, man, just building off what they did last year. So definitely a win like that loss like that still gives you confidence, being that North Carolina is a really good team, and you had a chance to win it, basically. So they'll be really good and continue to have some games like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to both the Catamount women and the Catamount men through the rest of the schedule. AD and company will be home tomorrow night against Dartmouth, Saturday night against Yale. I'll be in the building for that one. So, AD, appreciate your time as always. Best of luck tomorrow. We'll see you on Saturday.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Aaron Deloney, UVM men's basketball, stand out with us every other week here on DEV. Next week, Emma Utterback is going to be with us from the women's team. Again, tough weekend for them down in Florida at the Gulf Coast Showcase, going 0-3, but I think they will be better again as they head back up north. Excited to see the men tomorrow back at home against Dartmouth. I won't be at that one. We'll be on the air right until 7 o'clock, but I will be there on Saturday. Danny, did anything specifically catch your ear that Aaron Deloney said right there?
Talking about him switching from point guard to shooting guard and back to point guard.
Yeah, that was the thing that stuck out to me the most, right? The platitudes about his teammates were great, right? Hearing that Nick Fiorillo completely changes the dynamic of their team, that's something that I like to hear. That's something that should feel good for Nick to hear, that his teammates feel good about him. And I'm also excited to see more Nick Fiorillo as well. The stuff about Sam Alamutu and how much he hustles, how athletic he is, that's great also. The thing that stuck out to me is I don't want to sit here and say that Aaron Deloney doesn't sound comfortable at point guard. That is probably a stretch. But Aaron Deloney is clearly feeling his way through this adjustment. Aaron Deloney is a guy, or rather has been a guy, that has been instant offense, right? I think of him a lot like I thought of Steph Smith back in the day, right? Steph Smith to me was a scorer. Trey Bell Haynes was a creator. Steph Smith was a scorer. Right? Trey Bell Haynes would break you down, the defense would collapse, and Steph Smith would be in the corner on the wing, and he'd be wide open, and he wasn't missing. That is how Aaron Deloney has always been, right? And there's a reason why Aaron Deloney has won Sixth Man of the Year the last 2 years, right? He didn't win that because he was getting 8 assists a game. He didn't win that because he was playing great defense. He won that because he would come on the floor, and he could bury shots, right? He was a double-figure scorer off the bench. That's why he won those awards. That's what he's been good at. And I'm not saying he can't play point guard, and I'm not saying he doesn't want to play point guard. But he clearly knows there's a difference, and he's feeling his way through that, right? When I came off the bench, my job was to score. My job was to stand here, be the recipient of passes, and score. Now he knows his job is something different. And how he navigates that, I think, is a big story for this team. Right? They lacked a true point guard last year at times, right? Dylan Penn was not a true point guard. Dylan Penn was a playmaker who had the ball in his hands a lot, but he would go to the bucket, right? Dylan Penn would have the ball in his hands, and when he wanted to go, he'd attack the rim. Aaron Deloney's not that kind of player. Aaron Deloney is a guy who likes to shoot from the outside. So it is harder for him to initiate his own offense. Like he said, look, I could pull up from 28 every time if I wanted to. But I don't want to shoot early in the shot clock. I want to be a guy who gets guys involved, starts to play, and then he's got to work to get it back. And when he gets it back, is he going to get it back with 4 seconds on the shot clock? That's tough. That's a tough balance to navigate, Danny. And it's something we'll have to continue to watch here. Shamir Bogues, I think, can play point guard. He's bigger than Aaron Deloney, right? I think he can play point. I think TJ Hurley is a guy who's like Deloney was last year. And TJ Long isn't a point guard. I think they kind of need Aaron Deloney to be a point guard. He's just trying to navigate his way through it because it certainly is an adjustment. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. MLB offseason is starting to cook. The hot stove is going. The Red Sox are very, very cool on that hot stove. Are we bothered by the inaction from Craig Breslow and crew? Talk about it next on DEV.
Hunger Mountain Co-op has been Montpelier's community-owned natural grocery store since 1972. The co-op features nearly 3,000 local products, including fresh produce, house-made, prepared foods, artisanal cheeses, distinctive wines, and handcrafted baked goods. The co-op's purpose is deeply rooted in our belief that good food helps create sustainable local food systems and vibrant, healthy communities. Hunger Mountain Co-op is located at 623 Stonefetters Way, Montpelier, and is open daily 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Online at hungermountain.coop. Everyone is welcome.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, with a belief that local businesses like WDEV build strong communities.
Cyber Golden Gable deals are here at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 45% off and save an extra $100 on every $800 you spend on select major appliances. And there's more. Get the DeWalt 20-volt Max Drill Kit for $99. Was $159. Hurry, these savings won't last because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 11/29 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
Thousands of stores across the country are pulling brand name cold and allergy products off the shelves because an FDA advisory panel recently determined that a drug they contain, oral phenylephrine, is ineffective as a nasal decongestant. Navage offers a drug-free solution that's fast and highly effective at relieving nasal congestion caused by colds and allergies. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
As a teacher, I should know the answers. But with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, answers don't come easy. Steroids made my gut feel better, but they brought symptoms and risks of their own. A friend told me about the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and they helped me find a specialist. We talked through the pros and cons and landed on a new treatment. I feel like the guy with answers again. Don't wait. Make sure you have the latest info and the best plan for you. Spill your guts. Learn more at spillyourguts.org.
Join me on the next Travels with Charlie. Lots happening at Burlington's airport, and it's not just name changes. JetBlue is left, Breeze Airlines is in, and we're heading into a busy travel season. Scott Milne from Milne Travel answers your questions, and we'll have some gift cards from the Aviation Deli so you can grab a snack before your flight. Travels with Charlie is brought to you by Casella Waste Systems, Jolly Convenience Stores, Milne Travel, and Myers Wood-Fired Bagels. I'll see you in my travels Monday at 1 right here on WDEV.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on DEV. We're going to do more of this tomorrow when we talk to Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider over at Nesson. TC will be with us tomorrow at 5:45. But the Major League Baseball hot stove has started to churn here, right? The MLB offseason is very long and it's very slow, right? We look at this, we look at the three sports off seasons. The NFL has a massive week of free agency. The NBA has a massive week of free agency. Baseball has big moves that are done sporadically, right? It used to be the true hot stove league. Now it's very, very cool a lot of the time, and then it picks up in various points. But nonetheless, it started to move. Aaron Nola, 7-year deal to go back to Philly. Sonny Gray, 3-year deal to go to St. Louis. Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, 1-year deals to go pitch for the Cardinals as well. Craig Breslow, the new president of baseball operations for the Red Sox, has been inactive so far. Red Sox have a lot of needs. They finished last in the American League East. I ask you, are you bothered that the team is not doing anything yet? 802-585-3026. I will tell you right now why I am not. I am not bothered by the Red Sox inaction at this point because the pitchers that have moved, I never really thought about them getting, so I was never really worried. I liked Sonny Gray. I wanted them to get Sonny Gray. I never thought they were going to. I never really thought about Nola in the way a lot of people did. So the guys that have moved, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, they're not guys that I wanted, right? Outside of Gray, they're not guys I wanted or thought the Red Sox would be able to get. So until we start missing on targets that I think the Red Sox have a chance at getting, I'm not going to be overly worried, right? We all want Yamamoto, right? Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the pitcher out of Japan. That's the number one target for the Red Sox. If he falls off and goes to the Yankees, I'm going to be ticked. Until that happens, I can't be too worried. Until Ohtani signs, and it's not with the Red Sox, I can't be too worried, right? The Red Sox need help at second base, and no second basemen have moved. So I can't be mad about that. The Red Sox need help in the outfield. Nothing has really happened there. I can't be upset. They need help at backup catcher. Nothing's happened there. So the market hasn't really started to unplug itself yet, right? So yes, the Red Sox are inactive, but most teams are inactive right now. The only teams that have been active are the Cardinals, who have gotten 3 pitchers, only one of which I think is any good, and then the Phillies bringing back Nola. So until the dam starts to break and the Red Sox are getting left out continuously by guys who I think really matter to them, I'm not going to be worried yet. I think everybody's still in a fact-finding stage, a gathering stage, a planning stage. The winter meetings are, I think December 4th through 7th, so we're getting ready for them in a week and a half. If things start to happen there and the Red Sox aren't a part of it, then we can start to get annoyed. But right now, I'm not at that point. We'll talk to TC tomorrow. We'll see what he has to say about it. I imagine he feels largely the same way. Jonathan India hasn't been traded from the Reds yet. The Red Sox could use him. Whit Merrifield hasn't signed. The Red Sox could use him. Jorge Polanco hasn't been traded yet to someone else. Red Sox could use him. Until that stuff happens, I'm not going to be too mad at Breslow. But again, TC will be with us tomorrow. We'll also talk a little bit to Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio tomorrow as well. You'll hear from Freddie. Texter also says, Danny, you should take a limo. It's an experience that one can't forget. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in a limo, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. So clearly it's kind of forgettable. Clearly
you pay for it.
The limo at the prom, I don't know. Why do I feel like it was something like $80? Now, we're talking like 15 years ago. I'm sure it's more now. It was also spent amongst like 10 people. As far as when I went to them at weddings, they were free because I was just in the party and that stuff was paid for by the people getting married and their families, etc. So I think the prom limo, if you took a limo by yourself, it was several $100s, I think. Go download the podcast. Thanks to Aaron Deloney for stopping by. Appreciate him. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate Danny on the text or on the producing on the 1s and 2s. That's what they call it. So Danny, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Jazz with George Thomas is next on DEV.
Hello, my name is Kelly Elwell, nurse practitioner. I oversee Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice's palliative care program, and I am here to help you. Palliative care at CVHHH helps Central Vermonters living with serious or life-limiting illness